Hi.
Have you been treading the boards?
Look at my fucking mustache.
That moustache is amazing. Were you playing a strong man or an evil, some kind of evildoer?
I was playing
Just listeners, Lee has a full moustache which has got those twirly twirls, as if he's appeared on the set of that movie by that Australian Baz Luhrmann with Nicole Kidman, The Moulin Rouge.
That's an excellent description of what is happening on my face. I was acting, something I don't do often or well, but I was doing it nevertheless as a favour for a colleague.
And what kind of acting was this?
Bad acting from me. It was an evening of Victorian theatre ghost stories. She is a theatre historian. Don't laugh. Don't mock other people. Don't yuck other people's yum.
The reason I'm laughing is because now the moustache makes so much sense.
This is a podcast in which two friends have serious conversations about silly things and silly conversations about serious things.
I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller.
Welcome to Midlifing. On Thursday, I think I cried more in one day than I ever have in my entire life. The acme of this particular experience, well, actually there were several. Can you have several? No. The first pinnacle was having a burger, a halloumi burger and chips at a local pub, and having a pint, and then just bursting into tears. I'm sitting by myself, by the way.
Oh, you sweet, sweet man. So was it something about the burger that triggered you, or was it just the experience of where you are in the world and in your life in this moment?
It was the, I swear it was the Aotearoa Pale Ale, or the APA. See what they did there?
It's like IPA.
Yeah, but not Indian.
But not, because it's Aotearoan. I did a bad job of saying it, I know. I tried, though.
All the syllables, all the vowels, use them all. Aotearoa. You can do it. Yeah, come on, yeah, good. Yeah, you can do voices. Aotearoa, you're driving me crazy. There's a Jenny Morris song from the 80s that says something like that. Aotearoa, you're driving me crazy. I don't remember the lines because I'm not you. And as we have discussed, I do have a scorched earth policy towards memory.
God, yeah, you keep nothing in there. It's the opposite of a lockbox. It's like your memory is Pandora's box after she's opened it, and there's not even hope left in the bottom. There's just a couple of pennies and an old chip.
And I swear I look at those pennies going, where the hell did I get
Where did
those?
they come from? I've never been to Czechoslovakia.
That's so true. I've got some coins like that where I go, I've never been to that place.
Never been there.
And then the pinnacle was when, after I'd finished my beer, after I'd, as they say, cried into my beer.
Oh, Simon!
I got to do that, and then the pinnacle was walking home, and it was just teeming down with rain. I mean, it was like I was in a really bad music video, just pouring with rain, and I had no raincoat, and just crying absolutely uncontrollably, like deep, really just. I mean, I'm laughing now. It was beautiful, but wow, did I cry a lot that day.
Oh, sweet man.
I mean, if this is the first episode of Midlifing you're listening to, you might be wondering what we're talking about.
Do you want to talk about what precipitated the day that it was Thursday?
Oh, just Gabriel. So my mother's just, she's pretty sick. It's fair to say. And she'd gone to the hospital for a little bit more pain management. And the difference between when I hadn't seen her on Wednesday, I saw her last Tuesday morning, and the difference between Tuesday and Thursday was just extraordinary. in terms of how she looked. And if there were any doubt, you might say, any pretense that this is happening, meaning Gabriel is dying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that there ever was, but if there were any pretense, that was absolutely impossible to ignore. You know, it had just all disappeared. Certain kind of intensity, that feeling of, that it being wrung out. It's an amazing...
Yeah. It's exhausting, isn't it?
It is.
And are you... We've never really talked about whether or not you're lachrymose. We know that I am. We know that I will cry at the drop of a tissue. But we don't know... I don't think we've ever talked about the extent to which you cry in life. Because it sounds like you just cried twice in a day to me, and that doesn't feel like a lot. That feels like a Thursday of most weeks.
No, that was...
So...
No, that was those were just two. Those are the two pinnacles. The two, yeah.
But there were. It was kind of a gentle.
Pretty much all day.
Tide.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, a gentle tide with tsunamis. Do I cry a lot? It's one of those qualitative things. Like, we mean more than, I don't know. Am I comfortable crying? Yes. Mm-hmm. Have I cried at work in front of people? Yes. Do I cry more than I used to? Yes. Mm-hmm. So I've got more comfortable with it for sure.
Maybe it's.
By the way, are you drinking red wine?
No, I've drunk. I drank 2 glasses with dinner, and then
while you're acting.
Before I was acting, and then promptly fell asleep, and then had to be gently woken up by Bob going, "Aren't you supposed to be doing a play?" I was like, "Yes. Why?" "Because it's nearly time for you to do a play, and you seem to be asleep." "Oh, I'm asleep." "Oh." And then I stood up and very, very nearly fell over. Not because I was drunk, just because I was sleepy. Or because
sleepy.
I was sleepy.
I did. I had a team meeting that started last night, my time, at 11 o'clock, and I'm neither going to confirm nor deny that I fell asleep during it. It's a very strange moment when you've got this kind of chatter in your ear and you're just hearing vaguely, "Any other business?"
You're thinking, I didn't know there was business, leave alone other business.
There was a critical moment when I thought, I've got a good idea. Instead of stretching, I'm going to just lie down on the bed.
Oh, no, Simon. Why? Why would you? I love that. I love that.
I did read something. I'm reading Mum's, Gabriel's parish priest, Father Michael, gave me a book to read, which it was hard to turn it down. It's called The Three Marriages. It's by David White. Do you know David White's writing?
I don't know David White's writing.
He's an amazing writer. But he's a really beautiful writer. But I wanted to read you one little bit, and maybe this will interest you. But he's talking about... He used to be a marine biologist, and he became very busy and was quite, let's say, absorbed in how busy and his sense of self-importance about being busy. Someone asked to meet him, and he gets a little bit aggrieved by the idea that this person who asks to meet him doesn't realise how busy he is, and also comes across as being a little bit like he's not very busy. And this is what David White says. There's a sense that he had plenty of the time that I did not have, which in some little place at the back of my mind irked me. Luckily, I was able to rise self-righteously above my self-righteousness. And I just loved that idea of, that feeling of being, and then also the way in which you get over it, a sort of meta version of that self-righteousness, which I really enjoyed. And you might just cut this out.
That reminds me, I was reading the other week about the idea of being time rich. Did we talk about that?
I don't think we did.
The idea of becoming a time millionaire. And that sort of...
It's sunk to that, hasn't it? Well, if I can't be a millionaire, I may as well be a time millionaire.
But the thing that I really liked about the idea of being a time millionaire was that you have to steal off other people in order for it to happen. So you effectively, it's like, how long can I eke out my toilet break? Can I make it 3 hours? How? And I guess you were being a time millionaire in your meeting yesterday when you had a little snooze.
Where did you happen across?
I think it was
this
in
concept.
Oh, actually, the truth of it was Bob was reading it from across the room. Because most of the things I understand...
It happens a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. Bob reads me things and I just go, slow down, I'm just going to close my eyes. And I treat everything like a bedtime story and then fall asleep.
I treat everything like a bedtime story. I feel quite honoured that, you don't appear to have fallen asleep yet while we've been recording Midlifing. Yeah, the other thing I had a thought occurred to me this week, which is I think I might be losing my sense of humour.
Why so?
Because I think it started with that episode when you reminded me of a rather shameful moment in my life after the thing you told me after Bob had a miscarriage. I think that really prodded me or punctured me to become increasingly aware of, this habit of mine, but also it's a very strong thing. I think in New Zealand it's a very strong thing, but I think it's probably quite strong, particularly amongst men, maybe. I think it relates to kind of what we're talking about in relation to crying, actually. As a mode, as you rightly said, a mode of deflecting from what's going on, that to treat each moment as an opportunity for humour. And I guess I was wondering about that line, or is there a line? Have you any sense or any appreciation of the line between when the value of humour and the danger of it, where it, and it's not, I don't even mean yes, it has that instance had a particular effect on you, which we've discussed, and which I still feel appalled by. But does such a line exist? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I want you to not feel appalled by something that you said sorry for. I mean, because that's the thing that I'm appalled as well, but by me, not by you, that I didn't give you the opportunity to say sorry because I didn't say anything about it at the time. I carried that wound. That was a choice I made, and you mustn't hold on to that moment, which was culturally acceptable and endemic, just because it was one of the moments that I couldn't roll with that particular punch. And the thing is, we've been talking over the last couple of weeks about the imminent death of your mother, and we have laughed at various moments, maybe at the situation, maybe about you were laughing about crying in your beer. You started today laughing about crying. And I think your question is sort of encapsulated in the offer that you make. That you started with laughter. We can find something shared because you are laughing. But if somebody makes an offer to you that's not said with any space, then I think that's where it becomes dangerous. That if we can't match or meet the tone of the offer, that's where we become a bit cloth-eared, and that's where we
default.
We default. That's better than cloth-eared. You're right.
Yeah, we
Simon.
fall back on what's making us comfortable as opposed to what's making that person comfortable.
Yeah, because that person evidently isn't comfortable in that moment to be able to find. Levity doesn't feel right because feels
something absurd. I mean, the beer. There's crying into the beer. It's clearly absurd, isn't it? As well,
it is absurd. Yeah, but also there is. It felt to me like as you were talking about it, there was a level of. I mean, I can't think of a better word than joyfulness about you seeing yourself doing it, because yes, it's absurd, but it's not. It's I don't know.
No,
I'm stumbling
I think
on the right word.
Well. No, but I think joy is not the word, because it was incredibly painful. I was doing that thing, which is literally laughing and crying. I mean, I was crying uncontrollably, but at the same time, kind of peeing myself laughing at the entire situation. So it was so beautifully paradoxical. Or I like what you've said there.
But why? Thank you. But I want to know why you think you've lost your sense of humour.
Well, it's because I've started seeing it everywhere. I've started seeing that default response, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the offer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and of course I'm exaggerating because I haven't lost my sense of humour, but it did occur to me. I was going, wow, maybe why can't I see anything funny in that? It's like my superpower. um, maybe I'm maturing.
I think there are.
So, go on.
No, I'm trying to find the right purchase onto this. Bob laughs freely.
She does.
With great joy at many things in many moments. She also cries even more than I do. Which is possibly why we don't spoil another
Your tissue
couple.
bill at home must be outrageous. I hope you use hankies. I hope you use something that you can actually, wash and use again.
I think she's always been really, really easy to laugh and to make laugh. But one of the things that she has never, ever been able to sit with is stand-up comedy. You put it in front of her, you switch something on, and she just looks at it, and she does that little sort of sideways head tilt and then looks at you and goes, no, I don't get it. And it's clearly not because of a lack of sense of humour. It's because, and I've asked her about this, and she says, it trades in meanness in a way that I don't understand. And it makes me sad.
This is the thing I think I think what I'm sensing in the line, sensing as a mark of that line, if that makes sense. Meanness. Because that when we strip someone, or even just take a little piece of someone's dignity, whether they know it or not, we're taking something from the world, for me. That it's not just about what you might say, taken from that person. Again, whether they're aware of it or not. If I think of the word compassion, it not only is it not treating that person with, but not even yourself with compassion and kindness. It's the cheapness and the cheapest of cheap. And so it's kind of a realization for me, which is, maybe a long time coming. But I wonder where it will go. I'm wondering, in 6 months from now or a year from now.
I think between the two of us, there's been a kind of a slow unfurling that's been happening across the course of these conversations, where we have been trusting one another a little bit more. And there have been moments where I've said something that I've cut out because I've gone, ooh. And you said something that I've cut out because I've gone, ooh. And
you're the editor's privilege of going,
ooh, yeah. But they're very small, and they've been getting smaller. But what's interesting is, as they get smaller, they become more acute. It's like the nerve ending of the tooth becomes more and more exposed. But I think that feels to me that it's unlikely that you're going to backslide in 6 months' time into a default position where you just find yourself laughing at.
Yeah, you're very kind.
I don't think it's kindness. I think it's just I've spent a year talking to you and listening to you and noticing the differences and noticing the hypocrisy that both of us have, and noticing the contradictions that both of us have, and noticing that both of us are deeply, deeply flawed individuals, but also, genuinely, Simon, we're trying our best. And that might not be good enough.
It's also weird because we're doing it in public, which I find, yeah.
I forget that bit and then remember that.
I know. That's beautiful. It's beautiful what you've just said, but it's a very, I don't know what to say. I was, had that little moment of absurd living in the future yesterday when I was coming back from the train and walking. This was the day after the crying in my beer. It was quite a sunny day, and I was coming out of the supermarket, and my niece, Ruby, FaceTimed me. So this would have been very early in the morning for her. And I had that moment of, walking with with a phone with a video of someone in England and having a conversation. That moment going, wow, this is crazy technology, but that's by and by. But it was just the walking outside thing, because I'm used to it inside, but it was just if my 13-year-old self could even have imagined that moment, I'd be like, oh, fuck, this is so fucking cool. And she was asking me about how it's going, and she's just so beautifully tender and caring and thoughtful. And I said, what's the most surprising thing is, because Dad died 27 years ago. So I hadn't quite recognised the way in which Gabriel's death exposes my generation in our family, that we're next. And that just never occurred to me when Dad died. Also, I was a lot younger, of course, but half a life ago. But yeah, it's quite exposing. And she asked me, "Are you afraid of dying?" It was really so lovely. Yeah.
What did you discover in that question?
I just said no, not at all. I said I've loved and been loved. I've given myself enormously to different things. I said it's not that I want to die now. But if it were to happen, or if I were to suddenly become very ill, I don't think I would fear it. No.
What does that do? And not in terms of mortality, because that's something we don't know. How long we've got on our ticket. But what does it do for you in terms of thinking about yourself as an elder?
Well, it does. That does strike me as many opportunities to make a joke, which I'm just resisting. Well, for one thing, when you've taught as much as you and I have in those roles, it creeps up on you, the idea of going, oh yeah, I understand this. I have a feeling for what's going on here. It's almost as if I understand that role in that context. I would never call myself an elder in that context, but it's a little bit like that. But here, I think the thing that comes to mind is, and I'll go back to Ruby in our conversation yesterday, because she talked about the idea of looking after me when I was in the situation that Gabriel is in now, which I was incredibly humbled by, of course, because she's my niece. She's not my daughter. She's not. And so there was a clear acknowledgement in the shifting of our roles, or even the imagined shifting in our roles, and that extraordinary human thing she did, which was to imagine herself in 30 years' time, if I get that far. She's late 40s. She's your age now, effectively. Mm-hmm. I'm my mother's age. Poof, blink of an eye. Yeah. I don't mean in terms of how quickly that goes, but that capacity to do that. Wow. What a gift to humans, and what a terrible responsibility, that capacity to imagine like that, to project into the future. I'm actually sitting on the floor in my mum's little kind of office space, I guess, and there's lots of little pictures, just little photos that have been printed out, not photos, but photos that have been printed on a inkjet printer. Mm-hmm. And there's just lots of photos of mostly the children, children meaning my sister's children and also my niece's child, and they're all looking at me. It's extraordinary, that thing that photos or images do, where you can't escape their eyes, and it's quite. Photos, fuck, it's hard to escape the photos. I mean, don't mean here, but in the house. Whoa.
I find photos give me the ick. I don't mean taking them, and I don't mean having them on my telephone. I don't even mean having boxes of them. I mean,
but having them up on a wall.
The display of photographs makes me feel gross.
Same here.
I don't see, when I go to other people's homes, I don't think, oh, I go, oh, ugh. that is so, there's something, I think the closest word I can come to it is uncanny.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think it's because, oh God.
That's different from ick. That's different from
yeah,
ick.
It is. It feels like it's, oh, okay, right. I'm going to try and put this into words, and I'm going to come off like a bad human, but I'm going to try anyway. There is something about the display that feels inauthentic to my eye. And so I look at it and it doesn't look real anymore, but it looks like something that is real but isn't quite there. And that's why I think the uncanny comes in. That
like the set of a film, like it's the
Yeah.
dress. This has been dressed in a particular way.
Yeah, and I get that. I sometimes get that feeling when I'm looking at photographs of people that I know, and more often than not, people that I'm related to, and quite often of me, that I am looking at people from central casting performing a moment that will look good in a frame. And I know that that's photographs. And I know that that's what's happening for lots of people when they have them on the walls. But there is something for me about them being displayed that just pulls them away from the memory, and they become something else. They perform a role that I don't understand. So there's no photographs in the house of us anywhere.